Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're joined by Mitch and we're going to be chatting a little bit about this mixer in front of us today. So can you tell us what we've got in front of us?
Yeah, so this is the brand new Q5 mixer from Allen Heath. It's part of their new Q series range. So there's going to be the Q5, Q6 and Q7.
Cool. So can you tell us what's the deal with the QUD versions?
So QUD is Dante, essentially. So Dante is a protocol which is developed by a company called Ordinate. And essentially you could look at it like a superhighway for audio. So it travels down a single Cat5 cable and then sends all your channels down through that rather than sending all individual cables. You can just send it down one. So it's really nice and easy to use from that side.
Perfect, yeah. So what sort of venues would you say these are best suited to?
Well, there's a number that you can really put them into. For example, you could look at a commercial install. As with the Q range, you've got the use of the S-Link port on the back. So what you could have is if you used a I/O box in the back, for example, which is from the legacy range, such as the AB series or DX, and you can go through all of those. You could then have that into a separate room, so you've got all of your inputs in there, and then that would also apply to, let's say, a music studio. If you had a separate mixing desks area, and then you had your studio, you could have the stage box in one room and then the mixer in another, so they could all go from that side. And then even with the Dante version as well, if you had a install that already had a Dante ecosystem installed in there, you could then just simply hook it up and away you go and patch it through there.
Perfect, yeah, much easier setup.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people are going to be wondering if the QU 16, 24 and 32 are going to be discontinued.
That's right, yep. So the Q5, 6 and 7 are going to replace them. So they're no longer going to be a current model, but we will still have the QPAC and QSB on the market at the moment.
So how do these new range of mixers compare to its predecessors?
So the new Q range features a lot of nice new additions. First of all, it's got a nice new scribble strip at the top, which is customizable. So you can change the name, depending on what you have in each channel, which wasn't able to be done on the previous Q series. You've got the addition with the Dante, which wasn't anything that was available on the previous one. You've got a bigger screen. So the previous one had a 5-inch screen and this has now a 7-inch screen. You've got additional plugins that can be available as well. There's the SQ add-on pack that can be purchased and downloaded onto the mixer. So you've got a lot of additional plugins that are available through there as well. You've got extra I/O interface capabilities. So it has a USB-C on the back, so you can go directly into your computer to do multi-track recording. It has an SD card slot as well for the multi-track. So there's a lot of possibilities there to do that, even if you didn't have the Dante version. So there's plenty to shout about in this new range.
So this is the QU5. How does it differ from the 6 and 7?
So there are similarities across the range. They all have the same amount of inputs and outputs available, which is 32. They all have the same 96K FPGA processor, so there's a lot of processing power in there. So within the Q5, you've got the option for rack mount. So that's a nice addition in commercial installation, for example. And then the 6 and 7 give you that extra local inputs and outputs option on the back, but also the extra faders from that side as well. So you get a bigger mixer, but with the same input and output channel count. So very similar in that of the SQ ecosystem as well, to give you a similar kind of comparison.
So I'm sure a lot of people will be wondering what the new QU series has in terms of I/O expandability.
Yeah, so the previous Q series had a D-Snake port on, but this one now has S-Link. So what that can do is that can go to a lot more of the range from Allen Heath in terms of the expandable stage boxes. So there's things like the GX4816, which has 48 channels of inputs and 16 on the outputs. There's even the DX168, 16 in, 8 out. So you can go to different things like that, and then you can you can have that as a front of house mixer, for example, have that, then have the single Cat5 from the S-Link port that can then travel, let's say, to the side of a stage in an orchestra band pit, things like that, just from one cable up to 100 meters, really. So you've got you can have them really quite far away to go from one another. But there's the entire range from Allen Heath can go through that port.
Oh, cool. So can you tell us a bit about the gain assistant feature?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Q range, and very similar to the CQ, has a gain assistant function for local preamp channels. So what you can do when you set the local inputs is you can set it so with an automatic, it will just basically listen to me and then decide on what the local input needs to be set for the gain on there. And then once that is done, you can press complete, and then you can then just have that set on, so it will then automatically kind of move based on that. And then that is a feature which is available on the CQ. So anyone that's familiar with the CQ on that would also know that. And then another one is automatic mic mixing as well. So that again is another feature that's on CQ, which is good for conferencing solutions and the similar. Whereas the gain assistant would be good for, let's say, a sound check, for example, for bands. Yeah. So there's a lot of solutions that people might be familiar with on CQ that have been transferred onto the Q.
And what companion apps are available with this for remote mixing?
Yep, so the Q5, Q6 and Q7 have iOS and Android apps of Q4U and Q Mixpad. So they're a little bit different to the 48K range of the previous Q16, Q24 and Q32. So they do have those ones available for use.
And can you tell us what effects are available in this model?
Absolutely, yep, good question. So in the FX section, you've got 6 dedicated FX engine sections. So you can have different effects going into each individual one. Some of them that it comes with already include reverbs and delays, and then you've got some chorus and flanger and similar things like that. But you can get other models of compressors, for example, from the Allen Heath shop.
So thanks a lot, Mitch, on your great insight on the new Q range of mixers by Allen Heath. Hopefully we answered all your questions, but if you've got any more, feel free to leave them in the comments section. If you like this video and you'd like to see more, make sure to subscribe. See you later.